Hey guys, welcome back to the vlog. Today I am going to talk about this Vision rodent rack that I purchased. It is the 70 series one that holds the 70 series tubs. Kind of what my opinion is of it and whether or not it's actually worth the money. So let's take a look. Alright, so over here I have my old rat rack, which I'm still going to keep. I built it myself. It's just a 4-tier, you know, it takes the mixing tubs from Home Depot. They're, I think, $5-6. I think maybe, you know, buying all the lumber and buying the tubs and a couple extra tubs, it was maybe $100 and a couple hours of work. You know, your first time making it, I'm sure if you had to make a couple, it'd be a lot quicker. This, on the other hand, this 6-tub rack, I purchased 2 extra tubs for it. I purchased these water bottle holders, which I think are honestly a waste of money. I actually took them out because it's impossible to get these water bottles out of the rack because you need to pull them out or else you can't pull the tub open more than that. You need to take the back water bottle out. So these water bottle holders I don't think are useful because it makes it actually harder to pull the water bottles out. As far as extra stuff, I think that's it. I bought little plastic stoppers that you affix. They're actually supposed to be guides to guide the rack through when you're pushing in and out, so there's not like wiggle room. However, I found it more useful to put them. You're not gonna be able to see it, but all the way in the back, it's kind of like a stopper. Like you'd have on the back of like an ARS rack, so you don't push the tub too far back, so you're not, you know, having rats escape through the back end. And so I didn't really buy a whole bunch of extras, and I think after shipping, this rack cost $1,300, whereas the DIY one, as long as you have something to cut the wood with, and even Home Depot might even cut the wood for you if you haven't measured out, it just might not be super accurate. A drill and some screws, I think it might cost you $100 or so. So, now that's only for the 4-tub rack, and this is a 6-tub rack. However, you can make 6-tub racks for that, and I can't imagine it would be a whole lot more expensive. My kind of whole thing with this was, you know, this is a nice rack. It's built really well. I don't have complaints about the overall quality of it. I thought it would make my life easier, having a better quality product to keep the rats in. I don't know if that's the case though. It's definitely not worth 13 times more what it costs to build the cheapo DIY one. I don't have casters on this, which stinks, but I could easily add them if I wanted to. I built this a little too close in between where the tub hits and the shelf below it, so it's hard to, you know, get food in and out of there. You know, working with this hardware cloth is kind of a pain in the butt, having to cut it all and then having to staple it in there. There's a lot of manual labor that goes on to doing it. I'm sort of handy. I would never say I'm a handyman, so I was able to build it with relative ease. It's really just a couple cuts of the lumber and some cutting of the hardware cloth, and then just drilling pilot holes and putting the screws in there. But it takes a couple hours, whereas this is pretty simple to put together. There's 2 big poles running up the sides, so there's a total of 8 big poles. You slide the shelves down in one by one as you go up, and after you put in each shelf, you put in a spacer which holds up the feeding trough. Then you put another spacer, and then you put on another shelf, and then you put another spacer, and so on and so forth. There are some issues with this rack though. One of them being, you might see that I have a bunch of just random lumber in here. Well, that's because the way these shelves are made, the metal shelves that cover the top of the tubs, which is also where you put the water bottles in and where you put the food in, well, there is all of this extra space right here on all 4 sides and it's even on the back half too. What happens then is that you pile up all this food up here in a nice pile in the middle for the rats to eat, but it all ends up coming all the way up here. All the way up here. It's all the way up here. Guess what? Your rats aren't eating at that point, because there's no way for them to get the food off of this solid part of the metal, and no way for them to eat it. That is an absolutely terrible design. I have no idea why they have all this empty space here without some sort of a lip to, you know, stop the food from coming out any of the 4 directions it can go out. Absolutely terrible design flaw. And what that made me do, now the 2x4s don't cost a whole lot. I think each it was like an 8-foot 2x4, and they cost me, I don't know, $5 a piece to buy them. But I had to run down to Home Depot. I had to load them into my truck. I had to get home, so that took me maybe a total hour of driving to Home Depot, picking up the lumber, coming back. And then I spent, I don't know, maybe a half an hour or so measuring, you know, the pieces of lumber, how to fit them in there, and then get them cut so that, you know, I can make a little blockade here so I can just dump food in there, and then the rats aren't going to lose it. So I had to do that on, I'm only using 5 levels right now. I'm not using the top one, but I still cut the lumber for it. So I had to do that 6 times. So I had to make a bunch of cuts with my, you know, circular saw to get that all cut out. So while I wouldn't want to have to go through building one of these again, building one of the DIY rat racks, I just saw locally on Craigslist somebody has one that they said they never used, that was a 6-tub rat rack that had, I believe, had casters on it, and they want to sell it for $300. Knowing what I know about the Vision rack, knowing that this was $1,000 more than what the DIY one is on Craigslist, I'd probably just buy the DIY one. I can't justify spending $1,300 on this rack. It's really nice. I'll probably have it forever. I don't see how it would deteriorate. You know, I mean, these shelves are pretty heavy duty plastic. The poles underneath the spacers, I believe, are metal as well. They have nice casters on the bottom. I don't know if I said it. These metal shelves are pretty nice, pretty heavy duty. They're cut well. There's no design issues structurally with this, but I had to add, how many? I think I bought 4 8-foot 2x4s. So I had to buy 32 feet worth of lumber of 2x4s that I had to add into this rat rack to make it more usable. And then on top of that, these water bottle holders that are supposed to be convenient actually make it harder to pull the water bottles in and out of the back. And you have to pull the water bottles out of the back to be able to even open the tubs. So there's too many design flaws to warrant spending a small fortune on a 6-tub rat rack. Now, if this was a 12-tub rat rack, a 70 series tubs, or bigger, and it cost that much, perfect. But I think initially, maybe for my 7030 from ARS, you know, there's 70 series tubs. There's 30 of them in there, and I think this maybe cost $2,300 when I bought it. So there are 30 tubs in there. There's 6 in here, and that rack was only double the cost. 30, 6, 2,300, 1,300. That doesn't make sense. There's no reason that this should be this expensive with only 6 tubs. So I thought I was making a good decision by buying it. I basically immediately regretted it after I got it here. And, well, learn from my mistakes. Don't waste the money on something this expensive for getting this little. Now, these ARS racks, I love them. These are 2 of the best purchases I ever made. While I love my tiny Reptile Basics racks, and I'm basically going to use these for hatchlings and grow outs only at this point. They work perfectly for that. I don't like using them for bigger snakes. but they do what they have to do, and it's a cheaper price point than paying for the ARS ones. However, the ARS racks for adults and for, you know, adults that aren't too big in the 40s are perfect. I would spend the money on these two things every single day nonstop. This, on the other hand, regardless of whether or not this lasts me my entire journey through the snake breeding profession, I would probably never buy again. Now, I don't know if I would pass on the ARS or the Freedom Breeder rat racks. I have no idea if I'll need those in the future, or if it would be cost efficient, or if there's some other way to do it. This, however, this 70 series 6-tub rack is probably a waste of your money, because I could have made 13 of these for the same price as that. And that means that I would have had, what, 52 tubs versus 6. And that's ridiculous. I could have expanded my rodent breeding facility to something where I could have been providing rats to like everybody in the Pittsburgh area at that point if I had 56 tubs worth of rodents. Whereas really at this point, I'm only doing a little more than doubling what I'm able to do. So the quality's there, it's a nice product, but it's a waste of money. Don't spend your money on it. Do a DIY one. Find somebody to make you a DIY one if you can't make it yourself. Save the money and put the money into your snakes, or put the money into buying rat food for a whole year. Just save the money. So that's my review of the Vision 70 series 6-tub rack. Probably any of the racks like that in that series. I think they had 55 or 35s. I think 35s actually fit in here as well. They just go in from the side rather than in from the front. But those are no bigger than these little rat tubs that you can buy. They're kind of listed as like medical, not medical, scientific tubs. I don't think they're really any bigger than those. And those are, I don't know, $10, $15 a piece. And you can just throw them on a muscle rack, and then you can reuse the muscle rack for something else down the line if you ever stop breeding rodents. So it wouldn't even be worth it for that either. So, you know, that's my honest review of it. I feel like I probably just wasted $1,300 when the value isn't there. It just, there's, besides the fact that you only get 6 tubs out of it, when you add up the issue kind of with the water bottle holders, when you add up the fact that this food, you need to buy 2x4s to make a barrier for the food so it doesn't go all over the place. And then you also add on the fact that they don't include the backstops for the tubs, because the tubs will shoot out the back end if you don't have them in there. You have to add on all this extra stuff to get a working product, and then you still need to retrofit things onto it afterwards. Bad investment. I would take it back 100 times over if I could. And, you know, hopefully somebody at Vision sees this and they see some of these design flaws. I don't know if anybody else has been honest with them about it, but hopefully they see it and kind of hear me out, because I'm not real happy with it. It was a waste of my money that I could have spent somewhere else. But so that's it. That's the my honest review of this rack, and save your money. I'll see you next time.